Hey guys, I did a review stream the other day where just random people from the channel, some people who just saw that I was doing it, come in and bring in a game, and I just quickly let you know where I think you did well, maybe where I think you made mistakes, what I would have done differently, kind of just reviewing your play and trying to explain to you why I think certain plays were right or wrong. So I just recorded it and just wanted to share those replays and games with you guys. So hope you guys enjoy. Great. So we've got the first game. So there's sometimes I'm going to kind of ask you questions. Does that sound good? Where I'm kind of like, why are you doing this? Because I kind of want to see your thinking. And sometimes I might be like, okay, you knew something I knew didn't. But sometimes I might say, okay, here's your thinking, but I think that's wrong in this scenario. Just to kind of understand the nuance. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that works.
So you keep Diligent Note Taker, Liling Bloom, and Earthshock. And I'm kind of wondering what's so let's see chat. What's your and you're up against a warrior. What's your mindset with that? Why are you keeping these cards?
So I was kind of keeping, I keep the bloom in case I draw the Doomhammer or something like that. I can get an early Doomhammer, or if I get the Diligent Note Taker and I get an early Serpent Shrine portal or something like that, and I can
Mm-hmm.
board against them.
Yep. Um, so that's okay, and I think part of the problem is you're keeping this Earth Shock here, which I'm not sure what you're keeping it for, but it's a very low tempo. Uh, it's a very low tempo play, and
Yeah,
they're very
my
unlikely.
honestly,
Yeah.
the reason that I was keeping it was thinking about like Sword Eater or something like that in case I needed to.
Yep. Um, I think it's a thing of you're thinking a little too far ahead, and it's not like Earthshock against Sword Eater is that great. It does remove the taunt, but that's that's kind of a thing we want when we're like silencing a taunt. That's kind of like a finishing play, as opposed to an early play. Because the problem is sometimes if you do that, well now because they have that 2/4 Sword Eater and you didn't kill it, they go risky skip or armor smith, and that Sword Eater is giving them armor still, and it's attacking you. So that's not really what we want. Like have our default plan on our mulligan. So I've got some mulligans. I think I got some mulligan stats for your deck, just to kind of get you an idea of what I think you should be keeping against Warrior. Um, so let's see. Okay, here's the I think your list, and so against Warrior. So you can see uh, Cage Match Custodian is by far the highest thing, and you can even see what I find interesting, which reflects balance. Cumulio Maximus is pretty decent in Inara, and that's because one of the the most important things to have against Warrior is early game minions, because Warrior has a lot of life gain. So, but they also have really good removal. So it can be tough for our deck. But if we get a few early game minions that don't get removed for a few turns, something like a Cage Max Custodian or a Lightning Bloom Cumulio on two can do just as much as 20 damage because they just might not have the right answer in time. So they can be incredibly efficient. So those are the kind of things we want. Um, and you can see Lightning Bloom. I wouldn't keep Lightning Bloom unless I already had like one of these really premium 5 drops. So something like Inara and Cumulio. And I think that's kind of what my feeling on the Warrior is like we want minions. And I think your Diligent Note Taker Lightning Bloom might be okay, but it's I still don't think I would quite keep it. In that Diligent Note Taker a very all-in like high tempo play. So I think it's actually a lot better against Enrage Warrior. So you don't really know which one it is, which makes it more like a good play against Enrage Warrior, but it's weaker against but they're playing Control Warrior because they might do something on Minefield or they might do the Blade Storm. They have good plays to kind of against early aggression. But generally, we want like really high value stuff because we want to just keep playing these big cards and they have to deal with it every turn. That makes sense?
Yep. Yep, that makes sense.
Okay. So let's see. So we start off. They keep the minefield. Yeah, I like this play. It's very all in, but it's your game plan with this hand. Unfortunately, they have minefield here, but it's definitely I think the right play. And you still like it says -3. So oh that one health to everything just kind of wrecked you there. That's unfortunate. Yep, I like getting the hero power in here. They go weapon. I think you could tempo the Kobolaki here. You have multiple things that can remove minions on board, and it's just good to every minion damage you can while you still can is valuable, and you don't have much on board. So having the additional one doubles the amount of attack your minions are doing. So I think it's okay to go Kobolaki here on turn 4.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, this is good. You're kind of setting up for Cumio for next turn. This is really interesting. I'm not sure. So I'm trying to decide here whether I think it's better to Cumulio their minion or Cumulio their face. And I think it's or even Doomhammer. That's another option. Because part of the well, they are big warriors, so often they do want to play one of their 7-drop, their 7-mana card. So it's good to pressure into their turn 7. They've already used a minefield as well, so this does stick often. Um, it's kind of a thing I'm trying to think of, like how much damage do we realistically have over a few turns. So I think your play's okay. It's close though. We could also go Doomhammer this turn, then go Cumulio next turn. There are a lot of options, but I think this is okay. I'm just not 100% sure. It's an interesting spot. There we go, the Doomhammer. Yep. Just playing this thing on like every damage you can get now is really important. We go Rattlegore. So you should. This is a technical mistake. You should hero power first. You have a 1 in 4 of hitting spell damage there.
Okay.
Um, and that would give you an additional damage. So that's kind of a if you have the mana and you're doing a spell damage, it's just good to get the hero power in. So that's kind of a autopilot. So that's something just as you play the deck more, be thinking. I think this is a play of if you're thinking about what your whole turn is, and this is a good habit to get in of like how I have 9 mana, what am I going to do with all my mana before committing? So you kind of said, oh, I want to silence this, and oh, I want to play this. But we're better off doing things that give us information first, because sometimes one, they can alter our plays, and two, they can improve our plays. So we're pretty much always going Totemic Call here. So we should do it first because it can give us additional 3 damage, or additional 1 damage. And then two, we should probably go the 3 drop first. Play the Serpentine Portal first because we could get like a spell damage thing. We could get something weird like that Mage card that whenever you play a spell, discards it like or add a Mage card to your hand. There are cards like you could get the 2/5 from Priest and discard this Doomhammer. So there are a lot of like little things you could get to just improve this play slightly. Now, most of the time, this doesn't matter, but these are like the little 2-3 percenters that, over a course of a game, if you get all your little 2-3 percenters right, it's gonna increase your win rate quite a bit when you compound them. Though in a bubble, they don't really matter that much. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. Yep.
So that's kind of a technical mistake. And let's see, and then you go base. Okay. And this is interesting because this is a spot of we actually probably should have saved the silence, because let's say they just played one of these from their hand, which is a likely play. We could have because killing this Rattlegore isn't that big a deal, but getting rid of the taunt is actually much more important. So this is something I'm realizing in hindsight. We probably should have saved this Earthshock.
Yeah.
So I think looking at this game, the biggest mistake was this mulligan. I think you have to mulligan for more heavy value stuff. So I'm thinking Cage Max Custodian, 1-drops are good, and then your kind of big 5-mana plays. And I think Diligent Note Taker is a lot more acceptable in the scenario where you can see on coin it's not nearly as good. It looks like it's actually better going first. Let's see. Yeah, apparently, but I think on coin, it's a thing of like if I had exactly Diligent Note Taker, Cumulio, or Diligent Note Taker, Lightning Bloom, and Cumulio or Inara, then I think it becomes a lot more, or even Doomhammer, it becomes a lot more attractive to keep it. But if you don't already have one of these powerful 5-drops, I think I'd rather try and get either a Cage Match Custodian, which draws our Doomhammer, or Inara or Cumulio, which these are. A powerful 5-drop left unanswered will probably win the game. Makes sense?
Yep.
Great. Any questions?
No, thanks for the overview. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, and yeah, hope that helps. I think if you played it right against Warrior, you're actually favored. So it depends on which Warrior it is, but because I thought it was unfavored, and I played a bunch, and it's actually you usually win if you play it right.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks. I'll keep that stuff in mind.
All right, thanks, Goat Slayer. Yep. Unlimited. Hey. All right, so we've got you're playing Lifesteal Demonhunter.
Yes.
Versus let's see what kind of.
Yeah, it was an Enraged Warrior. Okay. I should have the full deck list. Let me find it real quick.
It's in there. I'm more trying to get some mulligan statistics for your deck. I've played it a little bit, so I'm probably going to be more questioning your lines. You might, because my first thing, my first kind of question is how do you feel good about this Chaos Strike keep here?
Yeah, looking back at it, probably not. Like I was just like, oh yeah, we'll take the cycle card, but no, it's like Warrior's not going to play anything the first 2 turns, and we don't necessarily want to be smacking them in the face to give them extra draw.
Yep.
So,
yep. Yeah. And I think it's usually like the only thing you can really Chaos Strike in the early game is a 1/2, which isn't that big a deal anyways.
Yeah.
I think you really would like to hit. You run 2 oozes. You'd like to hit your oozes. You'd like to have Skull on the left side, stuff like that, or Spectral Sight. So I think there are just better cards to look for in this mulligan. So I think this is often, it's I think people learn mulligans and they're like, oh, everyone can, this has a 1 on it. I should keep it. And realistically, it's not that simple. So I think it's it does have a 2 on it. And that is nice, but I think, like I said, we'd rather hit better things. So
Yeah, especially with it being on the left side. I was like, I think I even thought about it in game. I was like, you know what? That's on the far left. I should be looking for
okay.
skull right there. Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't go philosophy on one here.
Yeah, it would have been smarter than hitting him in the face for one and giving him
Yep.
outrage, huh? Yeah.
Yep, and it's also a thing of I've done this. I think I did this in this wasn't with. I think this was with. I think this was with Galakron Warlock. This was I played against an Enraged Warrior. It was an older list, but I Enraged Warrior actually doesn't have ways to deal with Morog, so you can actually go philosophy and just tempo Morog, and it's actually insane against Enraged Warrior. Now I don't know OTK Demon Hunter well enough, but it's something that should be in your toolbox, especially when you have two of them. Going Morog Artificer on two might deal like 12 damage and completely control the board. So I think it's a very strong play, especially when you do this philosophy on it for a 2 mana 3/5. That if you know they're in Rage Warrior, now the problem is you don't know they're in Rage Warrior. But if let's say you have a read on Bobby X that he's playing in Rage Warrior, I think that's a
Well,
really good
this
play.
is open deck list, so I did
yeah.
know. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a play you could definitely go for here. And tempo the Morg because they just don't have ways. They only have inner rage, which could do 2 damage to it, and then they're not going to get a Wormhole down. They're not going to get they're just not going to. You're going to have a early game advantage for like 5 turns with that play. Makes sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I guess even a Warmouth Challenger doesn't really challenge it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Warmall Challenger, more like Warmall Surrender. Yeah, that was dumb chat. All right. Everyone's leading the chat. All right. This is so, and I think this is something. It's good to you'll probably just have this autopilot response of to go 1 mana on one, and just it's good to expand where you can be. You have 3 different options here. 1, you could go philosophy. 2, you could hero power. And 3, you could actually just float 1 mana. And there are some scenarios where you might say, I don't want them to get battle rage here. That you might want to do that play, but for some reason you don't want to play philosophy this turn, which I don't know why you wouldn't want to. But there might be a good reason where you don't want to play philosophy. Maybe a slightly different scenario. So it's a thing of I don't know this matchup probably as well as you do because I don't play a lot of OTK Demon Hunter. But I can kind of.
I mean, I don't play it enough, anyways. I kind of just brought it as my 4th deck in a lineup, and then So I've found myself doing that too a lot. Is just floating 1 mana when I could have philosophied or something in hand. I play this deck on autopilot and don't even think about these things sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
I feel like this is it's a tough deck to play on autopilot. It's a lot of thinking. A lot of calculating, a lot of okay, I have 2 Morgs and this, and I'm gonna have this, and how much damage can I do? I was gonna write when I was playing this that I was playing this deck, and I'd be like, if my 3rd grade teacher could see me now, seeing how far my arithmetic has come, she'd be ashamed. But yeah, so because it's a lot of all right. So you go the Chaos Strike here. Okay. Another Chaos Strike. Yeah, just imagine a world where you'd play the Morg and they would be at 0 life right now, practically. So, all right, so they go weapon here. Okay. We go. Okay. Why didn't you play Blood Mage Thalnos here? And do you think it's? I feel like you could cycle here, but I'm not sure.
And he's an OTK piece, but I think that probably was a time where I just played the cycle.
Yeah, I think it's a cycle. They aren't doing much, and it's just good to spend mana, get through your deck, and It's also a spot where you could probably another spot you could go philosophy and make two morgues because this philosophy is never going to be on the left side of your hand anyways because the morgue is on the left side. So you might as well just play it now. Um, so just to use the mana
Yeah.
and simplify your hand. So I think those are kind of things you could adjust here. So now I don't know the matchup. Like some of these things, like I think if you played a lot, I don't know the matchup well enough to know should I be playing Blood Mage or should I not. Like, is it super valuable to save? I think with your hand, you're going to have two morgues here in theory, so I don't think you need the Blood Mage Thanos. And getting a cycle is nice,
Yeah.
but I'm not like if we had like an OTK Demon Hunter expert, they might have a reason like, well, on turn 6 this play happens, so we need the Blood Mage or something. I'm not, but I think I would just tempo it out to get the draw here, and kind of we're gonna have to like lower our hand size at some point. Okay. This is interesting. This is we had a lot of options here. Um, hmm, hmm. Hmm. I feel like we could have just gone Blood Mage Thanos Immolation Aura here. What's kind of stopping you from doing that?
I think I thought about that play. I think I just didn't want to take all the bombs to the face, but it probably wouldn't have mattered realistically. Plus, it
Yeah.
denies Blood Boil Brute. It denies Battle Rage
Hmm.
more.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's also a thing of by taking all that damage. Well, now you can go like if you're actually in danger, you can go Morg, Fell Scream, or Eye Beam. Use kind of one of these heal resources. It's kind of I think too soon to be like when we don't have any of our combo pieces and we have 21 cards in our left to be really conservative about like saving these pieces. So it's a
Yeah.
thing of like if we do this stuff, we can use it now and then kind of heal later. Where the problem is if we're at full health. So I think that was the a good line there. Um, yeah. So this 5/3 like they could still make more bombs. It's very vulnerable. It's very easy to kill. They could do something like weapon hit on your guy and then boot. I don't know. It just seems like it doesn't. And I don't know. Often we would have preferred to like empty our hand a little bit. And Ildari Studies is also kind of good to like play on 6 to look for Skull. So that's kind
I
of what I'm
think
thinking here.
I might have been looking for Skull and not done the math right.
Oh, okay. I
That's
see.
very possible looking at
You're
this play.
thinking
'Cause
it was
that's weird.
five
'Cause
mana. Okay.
I know something I do a lot is hold Illidari Studies until 6 and look for Skull.
Okay.
Like very much on purpose.
Okay.
I could have just mathed it
Yeah.
completely wrong.
Yeah. I mean, so I mean, this you can see like this deck is like has a lot of like technical details. This deck is a very technical deck, and I think there's a very good reason why like the players and the data like players who love this deck will say it's great, and then like people over at Vicious Syndicate says this deck is bad. Um, but like the reality is, you can see here, it's like you really have to be really technically precise because it's just like it's really easy to make these kind of like autopilot mistakes where I'm like, oh, Ildari Skull for 5 mana. I have five
Yeah.
mana, and then you're like, wait a second, I had to go Ildari Studies the previous turn. So,
Right.
but yeah, it's a thing of yeah. So I think that's what I'm thinking there. So we could have made more morgues as well. And I think I actually go. I think I would prefer to go this guy on the bomb wrangler here. Um, what's your kind of mindset over the skipper? I guess there are certain punishes, but I feel like getting on the bomb wrangler because it just has more attack. I don't think they're going to do a powerful skipper play next turn. But what do you think
Right.
about that?
I think I was more worried about pairing it with Armor Smith or something like that, going like
Yeah.
into Smith Bloodsworn or something like that, and just getting so far to range. I'm not gonna be able to close out the game.
I think one, don't underestimate how much insane damage your deck can do. I think you're being a little too scared on that play. And two, it's a thing of it's very likely they have another skipper anyways. So it's a thing of
Right.
like if they're going to go for that play, usually they're not going to do this play wanting to do another skipper play the following turn. So it's kind of like a subtle hand reading thing where it's like, is my opponent really going to play skipper, really wanting to do another skipper play the next turn? Usually they play their little things and they have like a big clunky thing. And he didn't go Battle Rage that turn, and he didn't wait for the Battle Rage. So I just think it's, and he has to be thinking you're probably going to clear it because you did have a clear, and it is very likely you had a clear. So I don't think he's doing this play thinking, oh, I'm going to go Battle Rage, like my opponent's going to not clear this board. So I think because of that, I think it's better to trade into this Wrangler, and I think that's kind of my opinion there. That makes sense.
Yeah, I guess it kind of prevents the second, like him throwing down the second skipper, right? It makes the next turn awkward if the skipper's still up, I suppose.
Yeah, another skipper. Yeah, so
I mean, granted, we have full information on his hand right now. Looking at his hand, it makes, if I leave the skipper up, it's a little more awkward.
their
but-
play is weird here. I feel like he should have just traded his 2/1 there, but whatever. Okay. Or maybe he didn't have the mana. Or it wouldn't have worked with Blood Brute, so never mind. That wouldn't work. Okay. So you do this. And looks solid. Wait, let's see. So you actually let's see. So you're healing how much with this play? So this is why we would have loved to play philosophy earlier. Just get in the habit of getting that down when you can.
Yeah.
So I think we go philosophy, more eye beam, and then we go felt screen. I think so. This is going to heal us for 6 for 12, so up to 33. I think it might be better here to go something like, ooh. We could also go. So we have a few options here. I think we could go also. We could go Morg, I beam. We could do a hero power on the Boombot first, which protects our Morg. Now we get slightly less heal. Now we only get 10 heal, but our Morg's going to survive, and I think it's valuable to have our Morg there. So we get more heal overall because right now we're getting 9 heal, and the other scenario
Right.
we get 10. So wait. Though we get to take the 1 damage, but I think that so we get 10. It's still more. It's still no. I guess it's the same heal on average on our face, but it's. I think I
If you do that first, you're also guaranteeing the Moarg stays alive. It did stay alive, but it wasn't guaranteed.
Yeah, and I think having the Morg stay alive is more valuable than having maybe like 1 more life or something like that. So I think that's. I guess it's if we wanted, we would do the other one if we wanted to guarantee to have a chance for the Morg to die or take the hit because our life was so precious. But I don't think our life is that precious right now. Sorry, your life is not precious. So it's a thing of I think I prefer, but we also had the option to go immolation aura here. So we could have done something like philosophy, immolation aura, Morg, I beam. That was another option that would, if we kind of wanted to keep the fell screen blast because we considered it more valuable, which I think is a very legitimate value choice there. So another option.
Yeah.
And you see why I don't like playing this deck because it's just too much thinking, you know.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely uses a lot of brain.
I know, my brain's too small. So
we do play Hearthstone. That does mean small brain.
Exactly. The high brains are playing chess or something. I don't know. All right, what did I say? Let's see.
all the greatest minds jumped to Runeterra when
Runeterra, exactly.
the whole battle pass thing happened.
And
They figured out the math and then went over to Runeterra because they're such big brains.
And there's a bunch of people also still an artifact there. That's what killed Hearthstone. So, okay, so let's see. They do this play. We top to kill Dari studies. Okay, let's see if we hit a skull here. I guess I think we probably take the spectral side here. You actually could go glide here. It's actually a very legitimate play because one, it kind
I
of
think I considered it. Because I get back the same amount of cards essentially.
Yeah, it's kind of lowering their hand, but I think the standard is just to go spectral here. So let's just spectral's fine here, I think. Okay. I'm not sure how I feel about using this second I-beam here, because now it's like you've actually used all of, like, you only have one more combo piece now.
I think I remember this play. I think when I counted it up, there was there a potential lethal? So I was at 23. He had 5 damage on the board.
Yep.
So he could have gone Corcoran, Double Inner, Bloodsworn for lethal, I believe.
Mm-hmm. So this is a spot in the game, and I think you don't have the luxury to play around lethals, like crazy lethals here.
Right.
You're way behind. You haven't hit a skull. If you had a skull in hand, you'd be fine here. But I think you're in a really bad spot here. You just don't have enough value. You didn't get like these spectral sites, stuff like that. So you have to like remove cards to get your stuff. So I think just don't underestimate how behind you are here. And you don't have the, like, you're not behind on board, you're not behind on life total, but you're behind on like tempo in how much you've drawn through your deck and kind of way. So it's a thing of, because of that, you don't really have the luxuries to play around like a high roll lethal of, I have Corkin Elite, Inner Rage, Shield of Honor. So I don't think you should be playing around that. Makes sense?
Yeah.
So, okay, you do this. Okay, weapon removal, armor smith. And we get the skull.
Yeah, that court. I remember getting so pissed about this Bloodseal Corsair.
Okay, this is I feel like a. So why did you go double jump here?
Let's see. Why did I go double jump?
Your order is really bad here, because now you put in a spot where your skull is on the right side here, and you should have waited. If you're going to go spectral sight, you should go spectral sight first there, and then go double jump. And I think you're probably thinking, I want to draw my outcast, but I think, let's see, did you have? Let me look at your deck list. Did you have 0 more outcast cards from your deck? I think you're better off just risking it. But I actually don't think you should just hold on to it and play it next turn, so you can guarantee the skull hit on the right. But yeah, it kind of put yourself where you could see you drew Fellscream Blast, and you need Fellscream Blast to lethal, but you have all this stuff, so you kind of put a spot where this game's over. Like, you're never, like, unless if you draw Lilganoth next turn, you can win. But like, even if they don't have lethal for a few turns, you're kind of screwed here. Makes sense?
Yeah.
So
yeah, we end up dying anyways. But yeah.
So yeah, I think so we had a lot of we had some philosophical mistakes and some technical mistakes this game, but one, I think you're just kind of I think you really got to pay attention, and because this is a hard deck to play. And look for all the possibilities, and you sort of you have to really plan ahead and thinking, what am I doing next turn? But yeah, this philosophy, it seems like in your autopilot, you're not playing philosophy when you can. So play philosophy when you have 1 mana. I don't know why you're not playing it. It's something that just your brain hasn't. I know when Demon Hunter came out, I would sometimes forget to hero power on one because it just wasn't in my brain that you could hero power on one.
Yeah.
Even though I played even Paladin for like all the time for a year, but for some reason with Demon Hunter, it wasn't quite there because Demon Hunter needs a. We will turn our curse into our greatest strength, or something like that, which is kind of what Demon Hunter is, right? So, yeah, but I get Graving's old intro. I messed it up. But yeah, so you had some of this too, and I think you have to really be thinking about like what's valuable in your hand and stuff. So I think you like, and I think you were playing too scared of getting lethaled. Often,
Yeah.
where you didn't have the luxury to but with the time to play too scared is when you're gonna lethal them like so likely next turn, and you just don't you don't want to get scanned because you're so ahead. So you're playing extra conservative. When you're not like in a great spot, you don't have the luxury to take these really like safe lines because here's the thing, your opponent Cork gonna lead you there. It wouldn't matter if like they didn't have Cork and Elite there. Like if they do 6 damage to you and maybe play like I'm trying to think of what's just a crappy like a one Sword Eater here. You're still losing badly. Like unless you top deck Lilganoth, that's your only chance. And if they do, so it's a thing of like you're still really really behind here. Even if they don't have lethal. So it's a thing of even though you got lethal, it kind of they didn't need that to win. Because of some of the mistakes you made. So I think just like knowing where you are in the matchup and when I can afford to play really safe and when I need to sort of take risks and not play around things. Makes sense?
Yeah. I think I was playing like I was making the plays that were trying to not lose that turn, but we're just extending the losing rather than looking for the winning line.
Yep, exactly. So it's yep. So that's kind of what I thought. So yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
I was in a Discord chat streaming that to 2 of my teammates while I was deafened, so it wasn't cheating. But afterwards, they were like, "Yo, you did not play that one well." So I figured this was a good one to use.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, so it's a lot of room for improvement. So that's the good news. So, but yeah, it's a tough deck. So if you're gonna play OTG Demonhunter, make sure, as my 3rd grade teacher would say, put your thinking cap on. So so. And make sure you. So yeah. Anyways, thanks, Unlimited Power.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Hello.
Hello. Or 1 second. Hello. All right. Let's get this high. So we got. Looks like we got you playing Highlander Hunter versus Mage. So first, so looks like you've got an animal companion keep. My instinct is that's not right, but I'm not sure. So Highlander Hunter. Yeah, so Animal Companion is just in general. I can check on Mage as well, but it's not a very good keep. And the only time I would keep it is if I have like a 1 and 2 drop. It's a lot better on coin as well because you can do like coin 3 drop, coin 3 drop. But still, it's probably not even a keep on coin unless you already have kind of works naturally with your hand. So that's my kind of first take. So I'm curious, like, why are you keeping Animal Companion here?
I just thought like if I mulliganed it, I would get a higher like mana cost card, and then I would be doing nothing for the rest of the like 1, 2, 3 turns early game.
And that's understandable. There's an element of the mulligan where sometimes you're just going to get unlucky. So what we're looking at is we want to think of first of all, the fact that you're throwing away this is actually you're throwing a Dragonbane and a Dino Tamer brand, means you're never really gonna get anything like you're not gonna get as many hands that are much higher because you have one, two, three. You have 5 cards that are above 3 mana, and 2 of them you're already throwing away. So you never get those 2. So it's unlikely you get many 4 drops, and your deck are all pretty low curve. So it's unlikely, very very unlikely, that you don't have a 3 drop on 3. Um, it's very likely. So I think you want to be greedier here because it's so likely that you're going to have at least a 3 drop, and you really want a 1 drop. So 1 drop is how you crush. So the fact that you're keeping the 3 drop, but you have this. So you have Eagle Horn Bow, you have Inconspicuous Rider, you have Petting Zoo, you have Animal Companion, you have Ace Hunter Queen. You have a good amount of 3 drops. So it's a thing of I think we'd rather hit a 1 drop here and a 2 drop, and sometimes by keeping this, we decrease the probability of hitting that 1 drop. Make sense? That makes sense? Or you hear me?
Yeah, I think my mic cut out. Yeah, that makes sense. Since we already have our upper like mana cost cards, we should get a greedier
Yeah.
start.
But it's the math behind it is just in general. There's kind of and this is kind of like the mulligan win rate, and there's no one's really like I've never seen something where it's say, oh, this is like the cutoff on a mathematical level, but the kind of theory behind it is just in general. Is your overall mulligan hand better off on average? Because sometimes you're going to mulligan away. There's going to be maybe 10% of the time where you're going to throw away that animal companion and you're going to wish you have kept it. Maybe it's actually probably like 5% of the time. But there are going to be some scenarios. But just because you're going to hit that scenario sometimes, the other 95% of the time you're better off. So we want to do plays that are the best on average. Not like we don't want to try and do plays that be like, oh, I don't want to be like. Sometimes we're going to hit bad hands, and if you're not mulliganing aggressively enough, the problem is you're not going to hit enough good hands. So you're going to have all these like average starting hands, or you're not going to have like the powerful hand of something like Dwarven Sharpshooter into something like what's the 1 mana card in your like you could have like hit Dwarven Sharpshooter into like adorable Infestation Battle Mage, and you just run them over. Like that's kind of we much rather like go for these like really powerful starts that can just do so much damage, and finally the mage gets on board, but you've already put them down to 14 health, and then you just burn them down and they can't win. Where if you don't do anything for turns 1 and 2, it makes it the mage so they can beat you. Makes sense?
Makes. I've been keeping like Animal Companion almost every time. I should change it up.
Throw it away. It's almost always so I'd say we can look at the mulligan stats. So you can see there's almost no 3 drops you keep. It's pretty much all 1 drops and 2 drops in general. Let's see if we look at just general mulligan win rate. The only thing that's a high card keep is in general is Ringling's Rifle. And that might depend on the matchup, but that's because it's just such a strong card that it justifies the fact that you don't get to use it for the first 3 turns. But yeah, in general, you're better off mulliganing more aggressively. You can see Animal Companion is just not a good mulligan kept card, pretty much. So the only scenario I'd keep Animal Companion is if I already have a 1 and a 2-drop. So if I have something like Blazing Battle Mage, Felma, Animal Companion, well, then the Animal Companion is a very reasonable keep. But if I don't have a 1 and a 2-drop, I would be throwing it away pretty much all the time. So I know we talked about mulligans a long time there. But mulligans are a very hard part of the game, I think, when you're starting. And it's one of those things it's hard to like. So it's good to kind of like talk about the theory behind it. So, all right. I'm going to get into gameplay. So we do this. Okay, good. Playing the tempo play. Interesting. Double Wand Thief. Ooh. This is awkward. That's a good play. Ugh. I don't like that. I'm debating if we double trade these off here, because this was a very like good double wand thief, because this is hard in that they're gonna get these great value trades. Like normally we would go double face here, and I'm not really sure. It's very close. It might be a spot where we double trade, but I can't fault you for going face here. But okay. This was an interesting spot where we had the option here to go Tour Guide Initiate here, so we could go Dragonbane Hero Power the following turn. It might be a good play. It does float some mana, but it might be better, though I can't really fault you for going Animal Companion here. But it's just something we should be considering, I think. The Sorceress.
Set up.
Oh, we're in trouble here. We're in very big trouble. What did we hit here? Freezing. Oof. Draw 4. This is very bad. Alright. I don't know here. I don't know if I guess we have to try and hit explosive here. This is tough. You're pretty much almost always losing. I'm trying to think if there's a secret that keeps you in the game here. Of like explosive trap, I guess it lowers the damage by 3. It might be right to just hit the lab partner here, but I don't know. It's a tough spot here. All right, you probably have to take freezing here, unfortunately. I mean, you're dead here, so okay, yeah, okay. So this was a tough game, but I'm glad we spent all the time on the mulligan because just showing you kind of there was a case for on turn 1, and I'm still not even sure about this. I haven't played this matchup enough, but you might be having to unfortunately do double trade here because you're just going to be 2 behind on board and not be able to kill them fast enough. So it might be unfortunate, right? But I know it feels so bad to do that. But it might be right there, and it might be right to go the 2 1-drops on turn 3. But those are kind of all our real decisions, and after that, like we just kind of they went off early and just annihilated us. So kind of a low roll game on turns 4 to 5, but we did learn a lot from the mulligan on why not to keep Animal Companion. Make sense?
And I wasn't sure what kind of mage deck they were playing, and I wanted to like take initiative to hit face and not double trade there. So that's learning experience.
I'm not sure if it's right to double trade still. I wonder. It's just like I know I have a bias towards. I don't play that much Highlander Hunter, and I hate the. It's probably just going face is fine there, but trade one thief on 2, make your opponent play ping. So you can, yeah, Animal Companion and D-board on 3. Yeah, I think that too, Roderick. I'm just trying to wonder if I'm very biased in general towards trading, and I'm trying to correct my own bias and see, am I just being, because my instinct there would be double trade there. But I could definitely be wrong there, because I just know I trade too much in general. So that's why I don't play Hunter that much, because I love trading. So anyways, I think that's good. So thank you, Jumilaya, for sharing the game.
So much. I learned a lot from the mulligan. Thanks.
Yeah, mulliganing is, especially mulliganing aggressively can be very important. So just try and look for good cards, not just these like meh 3-drops like that are like we don't want to keep those. So okay.
But I'm gonna tweak my mulligan game and see how it goes. Thank you.
I think sure. All right. Good luck. All right.